Keep a song in your heart.
Over my head, I hear music in the air. Over my head, I hear music. Over my head, it's loud and clear. It's going to my head. Music, I hear music. Music, I hear music. Music. Oh, 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 Lord.
The ELB thing, I got to play music with my best friends, but
Right.
and when Ken died in 18, it was really weird because I'd went to recovery in 2015. That's when I finally was like, man, I'm going to die,
Right.
and I need to do something. I'm not sure what it was, but something's got to change.
So Ken's passing was the height of where, I mean, in that period, you were kind of...
We only played like 2 shows before he died.
Right.
In fact, the second show was 3 days before he died. So we played that show. That was the last show he ever played, and then he died that Tuesday.
We're talking about our friend Ken Simpson, and most people that's watching this are going to watch this, or is going to know who Ken is.
So it was kind of a bummer in a way because toward the end, my playing we were tight, but I was on autopilot, and I just had all of the things that come with being an active alcoholic going on.
Right.
That totally took away the anxiety and the fear and all of the just terror of the end of a drinking career where you're like, I don't want to live, had all come to a head. And I remember even telling Jamie Hickson, our drummer, I got a hold of him, I was like, dude, I want to die. I don't want to live.
Right.
I didn't realize until I was told, hey, man, you should check into alcohol treatment.
All right.
That it was, oh, you're an alcoholic. I'd been told I was an alcoholic by doctors and therapists.
Well, most people know.
Until, yeah.
Professionals, whatever.
Yeah, what do they know?
Yeah.
But it's until you hear it from another alcoholic, which is the program I'm in, it involves other alcoholics.
Right.
Did I even realize, oh gosh, I really am one. But there's, not only am I one, there's hope, because these guys would tell my stories by telling their story. I would hear parts of me in the stories and in the literature and stuff.
You told me that was going to happen.
Yeah.
The very first story that I heard, and you can't mention names or anything like that, but that guy, and I thought he was like had heard about me, and was telling my story because he's looking. It's like the preacher when you're uncomfortable in church. You know, you've done something wrong, and you know you're guilty, but and I did just sit there and told my story. It's just like you. Yeah.
So tying that all into the ELB thing, I took off those 3 years. I got help in 2015 and was working my program of recovery that I still work today. I don't believe in graduating from recovery. I'm sorry if that offends anyone, but
I agree. I would have disagreed with you until I started the process. But go ahead, you're right.
But 3 years into it, I was finally like, okay, I can make music again. Of course, by then Ken was playing in Gen X, which is a really cool band. Yeah. He loved it, and we were like, man, let's give it a shot. And we had put this set list together and played at the Dexter Music anniversary thing and kicked it in the nuts, man. Yeah. Like, it was a really, really good show. It was one of the best shows we'd ever done. We did a lot of originals, and it just kind of picked up where we left off, kicking butt, you know?
Right.
And then we had another gig at the country club for Ken's job. He worked, for the trash company, and then that was the last gig.
Do you think that it's easier to stop when you hit rock bottom than what it is, say, somebody just realizes, you know what, I'm drinking too much, I just need to stop? Which is harder, or is there?
I don't know. I think I really don't know. I'm going to say, just in the years I've been in recovery now, the people that stick with it are ones that did hit rock bottom and are like, man, I will do whatever it takes to not ever feel like that again.
Right.
Those are the ones that tend to stick with it versus somebody that's been forced to go to a program of some sort. In fact, they can become very resentful. And if anybody knows anything about alcoholics, resentment is like our number one offender, right?
Yeah.
So like, that's why my philosophies on life are to harbor no resentments and to, just you gotta keep a idea of what you're grateful for.
Right.
It starts as soon as I wake up.
Where do you think the seed of this probably before you started even drinking or even thought about drinking, do you think that there was a seed put in your mind that set you up for alcoholism? Once you started drinking, was there a person in your life? Was there a time in your life? When do you think?
I'll put it like this. I believe alcoholism is a disease, and I believe it can hit the first time a person drinks, or it can hit later on.
Right.
I believe that it's a progressive thing. It can very much progress. But I'll tell you this. I remember the very first time I drank, and I was like, all of my problems have been solved. Okay?
Yeah, you're on your way.
Now,
you're well on your way at that point.
Right. Now, I absolutely love blueberry pie. I cannot tell you the first time I ate blueberry pie.
Right. Yeah.
And said, oh, I got to have that again. But I remember the first time I got drunk, I remember what it was. I remember how I felt. And I remember going, this has fixed. I was 12.
Yeah.
I was almost 13. And it made all because even though I was raised in a Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night church family, there was crazy stuff that went on. Abuse, physical abuse.
Right.
And for me, when I drank, it made all of that go away, and all the insecurities, and the scared little kid just wasn't scared anymore.
It wasn't going away, though. That's
Nope.
a mistake, people. It's not going away.
No.
You might be. You're just pushing it off in another part of your being. It's still there, and it's not a healing thing.
No, it's not. It's not the answer.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
That is still number one reason why people keep going, and it's just the most easily busted myth of the whole process. It's not helping anything.
No. No, I mean, and there's people that can drink and it not ruin their lives.
Yeah, and
And guess what? They're not alcoholics.
Right.
But for people that are alcoholics, it's very important to realize that you have this obsession and compulsion. You have the obsession to drink and the compulsion. Once you start, you get that first drink. I tend to think of myself as a pretty level-headed guy these days. Yeah. I love people. I'm patient.
Well, yeah.
I really like people a lot.
It's noticeable.
Yeah. But if I take a drink and as soon as that alcohol hits my brain, I will run over you. I will steal from you to get another drink if I have to. Yeah. And I become a person that I am so ashamed of. It's embarrassed to be. And then I want to die because I become something that I was not put on earth to be.
You told me, I remember you said, guys like you and me, and you had me nailed from the get-go. You said, guys like you and me, the only reason we're drinking one drink is to get to the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was true. Like, you know what?
Yeah.
That's true. I want to hurry up and drink this one so I can have another one because another one's, is it going to be better? Right. But that's just, and not everybody's wired that way, but...
No. Some people can have one glass of wine every night because it's good for the ticker.
Yeah.
My idea of a glass of wine is a couple bottles.
Yeah, that's
you know what I mean?
You go.
Or people can have a beer with their hamburger.
Yeah.
Wow, that's great. As much as I liked the effect of beer, I don't crave the taste. And it can't be that good because when's the last time you went to the store and got a beer-flavored pack of gum or vodka-flavored Tootsie Roll?
Right.
Come on, the shit doesn't taste that good.
Right, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Perfect,
so,
yeah.
Not for me anyway. There was only one reason to drink, and that was the effect of the alcohol.
Right.
That's it. And I would think the more I could get, the better the effect was.
Mm-hmm.
And I cannot drink. If I want to have a successful life, I can't drink because I will. I ruined my life.
Yeah.
You know, I was homeless, divorced.
Yeah.
Yes.
Another thing we talked about, the hurt we've caused people, things we said.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, I was kind of notorious for that. I tried to use humor.
Yeah.
But critical humor, and it's you regret that.
Critical humor is just insults.
It is.
You can say, "Oh, I'm just being funny." Well, no, there's truth in your crappy jokes. They're not funny. If you're the only one laughing, it's not that funny.
Well, I mean, everybody, the person that you're, emotionally destroying by saying something is laughing, but that doesn't make it funny.
No.
All right. What is, in your opinion, in your experience, what is the most important ingredient in stopping with anything that you're a slave to? What is the most important thing you have to have?
You have to realize that all of your willpower is not enough.
Right.
And that you are not enough. And you must have something greater than yourself. I'll put it this way. There you go, Bubby. If Jerry Foster is as good as it gets in Jerry Foster's life, I'm screwed.
Right.
I know where that got me. You have to have something greater than yourself. I'm not saying it's got to be Jesus or Allah or whatever your idea of a higher power is.
I will.
I will. I mean, yes, I am a Christian.
Yeah.
I am a Christian, but you cannot do it on your own willpower.
Right.
And it's not for lack of willpower. There's a lot of willpower in alcoholics. A ton. The willpower it took for me to go out and get alcohol. Right. You know what I mean? So
looking back at it, did you know that at the whole time, and we're just looking past it? Because that's the way. I mean, I grew up in church. I was a preacher's kid.
Yeah.
And I tried everything that,
Here's the deal.
I did everything but the right thing.
Until I got around other alcoholics that talked about God, I never really totally got it, what God can do. Because the non-alcoholic preacher doesn't speak alcoholism.
Right.
He doesn't speak my language. He's speaking in smart. I'm listening in alcoholic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He's speaking English. I'm listening in dingbat.
Right.
So I have to have other dingbats that have gotten sober tell my story. And
normal people.
Yeah. Well, that have become somewhat normal people.
Yeah.
I mean, look. I don't think. First of all, I want to say this. I don't consider myself or anybody in recovery a hero for getting sober at all. Right. The real heroes are people that never touched alcohol or drugs or whatever, because they could have succumbed to the same peer pressure. And while I do believe it's a disease, it was a disease that if I had just abstained from day number 1, I wouldn't have triggered it. Not that I think that's 100% feasible, because I don't know of anyone that's never touched alcohol. However, that said, I don't take any credit for, I give all of my credit to God and my program of recovery that came long before me.
That's why it's holding.
That's why I believe that for 5+ years now I've not touched alcohol.
Well, you brought up something, and I'm going to play a video clip. I think I sent you this.
When I was 7, he didn't show up to church. And Mom sent me home to look for him because it was getting close to preaching time. And I got to the back of the room, and he was sprawled out on the bed and just drunk out of his mind. And I'd never seen anybody drunk, and I thought something horrible had happened. And after a while, it's survival. It's not anything but just flat out survival. How can I get through another day?
Did anyone ever sit down with you, did an adult ever, or come up behind you and say, "How you doing, Rust? How are you feeling?"
No.
So no one from the church reached out to you at all?
Oh, no.
Oh, wow. Isn't that sad that the church didn't do that for you? That is a catastrophe. we wouldn't even need AA if the church did what they're supposed to do.
Absolutely.
Because AA really is the church.
Yes.
Right. Do you agree with that? Because you kind of touched on it.
No,
you said
I believe
talking about preachers that don't
preach
preach alcoholism.
Right. No. I don't believe that. I believe that a church's job is definitely to preach whatever that faith is.
Right.
But I think God. Okay, my idea of God is He's omnipotent. He's everywhere. I believe in jailhouse sanctification, whatever you want to call it, because I believe God is everywhere. I think the same God that's in, Uncle Freddie's Baptist Church is in the state penitentiary or a whorehouse. He's everywhere. He's literally everywhere. Yep. And if you choose to turn your life and your will over to that God, then they could do what they want. However, for alcoholics, there has been no better solution than to work with another alcoholic.
Yeah, man, that is true.
There's just it has nothing to do with churches not doing their jobs. So I don't agree with that at all.
In the sense that I think that, and I'm not talking about any specific church, so if you're watching this, don't get offended. But I do think there's a lot of churches and people in those churches that let politics and reputation get in the way of the work. And,
sure.
And they're not reaching the main thing ain't the main thing. No. And I think that happens, but and in that sense I agree, but I understand what you're saying too. That's absolutely correct.
There's got to be a message that whatever God is, God loves you, right? And God didn't, in my opinion, put anybody on earth to be suffering because they decided to take up drugs, which thank God the only drug I ever did was pot. Right. I was scared to death of meth. That was for scummy people.
Yeah.
How stupid is that? An alcoholic looking his nose down at a meth addict. So, no, I think you have to first and foremost understand that God loves you. And if you can't see that, it's because of your own stupid behavior.
Right.
Like, I went out and did a bunch of dope and now my life's ruined. God doesn't love me. Well, no, you still have a free will to have went out and did the dope. Now you're suffering with the consequences just because He didn't come in and scoop you up. You got to do your part. And I think that's where maybe some people get kind of mad about God.
People make the mistake of thinking that they're not good enough for God to help them.
Yeah.
Well,
I did not think I was
not in
good
the
enough.
perfect people business. That's not what He's searching for. The more broken you are, the more attracted He is to you.
Sure. God wouldn't have a job if we were all perfect.
Right.
We wouldn't need God if we were perfect.
Shut that door. Mountains, they ain't but a hill. Now and then I worry still. Somehow I have learned to heal the pain of living life insane. I don't want to breathe your negativity. In serenity. Don't get me misunderstood. Life ain't always going good. Every day I learn to curb the pain of living life insane. Living life insane. song. Perfection may not always come, and now and then I get me some, but I don't have to ride the crazy train of living life insane. Living life insane. Living life insane. Living life insane.
Hey, well, how are you going to shock God if he's all-knowing? You
Yeah,
can't.
yeah.
Does Jerry Foster think he's done anything that nobody in the history of mankind has done? I would be a fool to think that.
Right.
Like, there's nothing I've done that somebody else hasn't done.
I'm sure there's a couple of jaw droppers in there, but nothing
Nothing that somebody else hasn't done.
right. And 10 times over.
But for me, that's kind of recovery in a nutshell. Is, all right, I want to turn today over to something much greater than myself, because myself will jack things up. I will mess things up.
Right.
And then I'm going to be as helpful to other people as I can be. If that means feeding my neighbor that's hungry, I want to feed my neighbor. Or if it means buying some clothes for somebody, I want to buy them some clothes. And it doesn't matter what their political affiliation is, what their pigmentation is, what their religious belief is. That's irrelevant. What's important is that I do my job.
That's the biggest
And
change that I've seen in you personally.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know at first, we weren't communicating much when you were first stopped.
Yeah.
With the alcohol, but I was seeing social media posts that you were. The first one I saw, I was skeptical. You said something about, hey, there's no reason to go without breakfast this morning. If you're out there and you need something to eat, come on by. Invited people to your house. I'm like, there's the heck, he's whatever.
Yeah.
He's got a hangover or he's drunk. That's the first thing I thought. But then, I just started seeing more and more of them. And I'm like, this guy is being sincere. What has gone on with him? And it's amazing because, this is my story and I don't want to tell it, but you came into my life again. We talked several times at the right moment, at the right time. But I noticed that was the one thing I noticed. You had that peace and you were always doing something to help people. And I know why. That's a big part of it. People think that stopping drinking is just stopping drinking. But,
that doesn't work.
Alcoholism, you're not just recovering.
You have to have a plan for living life.
Yeah.
I mean, what good is stopping drinking if you're not living life?
What was the hardest part of the process of recovery for you?
Looking at who I had become. I really hated the guy I'd become. I hated him. I did. I had trouble looking in the mirror. Wow. Now I've got to go and try to right all of these wrongs. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, okay, I've identified the problem. Now I got to work on the solution. I hated the problem, and I thought the solution was kind of weird, but by golly, I'll give it a shot. Yeah. And I worked some steps, and life blossomed. I mean, I have a life I never, ever imagined I could have. I did not believe I could have this life.
I was going to get to that. You were married. And this is not your biological son, but he's your son.
Sure, I was there when he was born.
And I've seen how he's changed your life.
Oh, yeah.
But when you're in the depths of that alcoholism and self-pity, we haven't even covered self-pity. Did you see that this happening right here?
No, look.
Did you think you were capable of it?
No, I have my daughter, and I always had it. My daughter never saw me drunk.
That's good.
Very proud of that.
Yeah.
She saw the remnants of my drinking, but she never witnessed me drunk. So I'm really happy about that.
She just my
daughter and I are very close.
Yeah.
And I was always afraid to have another child because I loved her so much. I was afraid I would show favoritism. I didn't believe I could love another child as much as my daughter, so I was like, and that was a deal breaker. It ended marriages and relationships, but I was wrong. I love him every
It's just is crazy thinking, but I understand what you're saying. You know, it's
and it's really cool too because with sobriety too, with his biological dad, I go out of my way to get along with him.
Right.
Like he and I get along very well, and it's for the sake of the boy. Like we cut his umbilical cord together.
Yeah.
The other day I gave him his first haircut. His biological dad held him while I cut it. I wanted to make
That's
sure
cool.
I called him and I said, bro, come over. You need to be in on this. But
that's pretty awesome.
But the hardest thing that happened after recovery, since it is about music, 2 weeks into sobriety, I had my first gig. I don't recommend that, but it was at this place in town that was my old watering hole. I mean, this place I spent lots of money at, and I had my first gig, and I was like, oh man, I'm terrified. Because before the end of my drinking, I couldn't do anything, right? I didn't check my mail.
Yeah.
I couldn't talk to women. Certainly
you can't be creative without alcohol.
Couldn't be creative without alcohol. Yeah. I didn't want to do I would take a shower with a bottle in the tub.
Man, it's deceiving, ain't it?
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So 2 weeks removed from that, I'm on stage, and I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? 20 seconds in, I was on fire, played one of the best gigs ever.
Isn't that crazy?
It was great.
I went through that same thing with
that adrenaline.
The drinking part, because I had you to lean on. You know what? Before we move on, I just want people to know. We're using alcohol or drugs, you know, as an example. But the philosophy for getting rid of anything you're a slave to, dude, there's just no reason to go through your life that way.
This is about